Hi everybody, William Eckert, the Adult Program Coordinator for the Potsdam Public Library, here with architect Rebecca Weld from
Hello.
Renew, who is the designer for the renovations that we're going to be having here at the library, and she is here to give you an update as to what we're doing and where we are, and an approximate time as to when you could see us reopening.
You can see off to the side books that have been left in place or condensed into place and covered. This side is where we're going to be putting the mezzanine. And if you see here on the floor, pieces of plywood are covering holes that go down to the basement because we're adding a whole additional layer of floor at this mezzanine level, and that's going to have books on it as well, so that's a whole other level of structural load that we didn't feel comfortable setting on this because there's nothing heavier than books. Some of the things we're dealing with right now are when we go to connect these dots down to below, we had very accurate drawings of the two. They were slightly off in terms of where they were relative to each other, just a couple inches, but that did mean we had to adjust the steel frame to be able to do that. But the main delays that I can show you about are happening at the foundation level. So, of course, I can't show you the hole itself because for safety they've screwed down plywood on each of them, but they're cutting through the existing slab and getting into the ground underneath. And then if you look up, you can see sometimes we're running into some infrastructure problems of, for example, a water main and a condensate pipe being in the way of where a post wants to go up through. One plan is right, the other plan is right, but they were slightly off relative to each other because we have no way of connecting those dots vertically until we start drilling holes in the floor. But we got very close, so we just had to nudge things around. In this instance, there's a post that comes down that exists, and we're building very near it, but we don't want to disturb it. So we actually have 2 footers and a steel beam with the steel post sitting on top of it. So in that case, we have 2 holes in several of these main beams that were close to the other ones, but we didn't want to go on top of them because we don't know how strong that steel is or how big that footer is. It's not big enough for, but we don't want to disturb it because then we're disturbing the structural integrity of the existing building. We made some starting assumptions about what the soil conditions were going to be like, and we made some starting assumptions about what the foundation, the existing foundation was going to be like. But it's an existing building with a slab covering all of that, so we had to do our best guess, and it turned out that our best guess was a little optimistic. So we just need bigger footers to spread out whatever load we're going to put on to the soil, so make sure that there's nothing that's going to negatively impact what exists, and then everything that we put in new is going to work great. When I say they'll refinish around, it will be restoring the cornice and replacing the ceiling, new lights, so a series of sort of suspended lights, a different look. A little bit more historically pleasing with what's here, exposing some of these details around what used to be the stage. So you see this sort of detail on the side that exists at the top, but it's covered up. There's pilasters that we can see the base of on the walls, but we can't see the tops of them, but they do exist. So sort of each of those verticals has a little decorative thing at the top that's hidden. And then the hardwood floor from when this was an auditorium has been covered with carpet, and I think we still will see some carpet. I think we're leaning towards carpeting the children's area to keep the noise down in that area. Well, but the whole place will be air conditioned, which will make it a really nice refuge for the larger community once the space is open. So next summer, when we get these 80, 90-degree days, people can come and hang out in the reading room, hang out in the mezzanine. Stay cool here. And then all of these beams that are on the floor are going to be covered with bookcases so that we can replace, if you look behind you at we're going to replace these bookcases for the Friends of the Library with a custom built-in bookcase that covers up all of our structure. So the overall effect will be very similar to what's here, but nicer is the idea. The details that we did on the railing of the mezzanine and the stair that goes up to the mezzanine, all of those details were taken from the original drawings that I found. So I have blueprints from 1937 that the building department has on file that show full-scale drawings of the bases of some of these columns. Some of it we're just doing very similar, and some of it we are duplicating those details. So as soon as they can get back in here, they're going to be pushing full speed ahead.
I haven't quite calculated how long the delay is going to be, but I would guess 2 or 3 weeks. So that's going to put it more towards the end of September, mid-fall. Yes, I certainly can't make any promises, though. At some point when we revise the contract, the promised finish date for phase 1 will be known. But like I said, there's still the question of how phase 2 is going to work. But certainly our goal is, get it all done in one time that overlapped with a COVID setback. So that's a long time for the library to be closed, but when it's open again, it's going to be spectacular. It's going to have more space for people. It's going to have more amenities for people. So we're hoping that people will be patient with us and come back when we're open.